Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bosch Communications webinar session today for connected audio technologies for commercial buildings. I'm Amaury Ramos. I am the Global Training Manager for Bosch Communications, and I will be your moderator for this session. So some webinar considerations for today. First, this webinar is being recorded. Also, the questions will be answered in the end of the presentation, so please help us with your questions and use our chat box to do it. So you can click the check button or the chat button and use the chat box to make your questions. Please use this tool during the presentation to make your questions. So welcome to our presenters today. So Sean Schellenberger, the Director of Sales for Installed Audio in North America. Sean has been working in the communication industry for over 25 years and with Bosch for the last 10 years. He's in charge of installed audio sales for our building technology portfolio covering North America. Sean holds a BA in communications from the University of Texas, Arlington. So welcome, Sean.
Thanks, Amaury. And welcome to all of you. Really appreciate you all joining us today. Hope you guys are all staying safe in these very challenging times. But also wanted to talk about Robert Ferguson and his bio with us as well.
Okay, so welcome, Robert. Robert Ferguson is our product marketing manager for North America. Robert is an AV industry professional specializing in audio systems design, sales, and installation. Robert currently serves as a North American marketing manager for commercial and professional audio systems with Bosch Communication Systems. Prior to joining Bosch Communication Systems, Robert earned degrees in music performance, audio engineering, and business. So welcome, Robert.
Thanks, Amaury, and thanks everyone for joining today. And I'll pass it right back over to Sean to kick us off here.
Thanks, Robert. So some of the objectives and topics that we want to cover today, we want you guys to come away with a real comfortable feeling about the overall Bosch communications portfolio, and especially how it applies to commercial building spaces. So we're going to talk about some of the conference systems that might go into some of those spaces, as well as public address, very important for a lot of applications. We'll go over the commercial loudspeaker portfolio, and then Robert's going to take us into some of the higher performing products for more foreground music applications like Dynacord and Electro-Voice. So just a little bit about Bosch Building Technologies overall as we get into smarter buildings, smarter cities, and how we want to connect all of those spaces together to make the places that we work, live, and do business a lot safer. So today we're really already offering very smart video systems, intrusion alarm, access control, cloud-based services. We can connect all of those things together in a building space today, including our fire alarm and our public address portfolio. And that is a really powerful message. So if any of you are getting into the security side as well as the audio side of the business, please let us know, because we're definitely doing that today. So over to the right, you see we are definitely a collection of brands. So if you see Bosch, as it relates to communication, it's going to be part of our conference or discussion system, as well as our public address and commercial speakers. The speakers are basic for paging and speech reinforcement and background audio. When we get into Electro-Voice, that's a brand that represents our higher performing speaker products, so more foreground application, as well as our premium microphones. And then we have Dynacord, which is our premium electronic amplification and DSP portfolio. We also have RTS, which is our intercom brand, and Telex, which is part of our aviation headset and dispatch portfolio. So as we do get into some more connected spaces and we want our buildings a little bit smarter, this could be really a number of different projects that you all might work on today. It could be a hotel space, it could be a hospital, it could be higher education, anything with a number of different applications like restaurants, elevators, guest floors, meeting rooms, ballrooms, lobbies, etc. So all of these different types of spaces could be part of a connected solution. And one thing that you'll definitely notice from us is we are a company focused and dedicated to standards. So we are currently operating on video platform standards as well as audio platform standards like Dante. So no proprietary applications for us. So that allows us to play with others very nicely. So some of the applications that might be applied to some of these multi-campus or large corporate spaces might be our conferencing solutions. And let's go ahead and dive into some of that portfolio. So these are meeting management systems, if you will. They really clean up the audio for a number of different applications, medium to large spaces, something where the acoustic environment might be a little bit harsh. So we're getting the actual microphone much closer to the person that's doing the speaking, and that takes the room very much out of the equation. We also do some processing at the edge of all of those products. So there's some noise cancellation, echo cancellation built into each individual unit. And a lot of them have some very, very advanced features that we can get into in the next slide. So we'll start with our CCS 1000D. That's a digital system. This is really our entry-level plug-and-play type conferencing system. So this is very easy to manage, very easy to deploy. It's a wired system. There are a couple of different gooseneck options, as you can see there. But 80 units can be deployed on one controller, and then multiple controllers can be stacked to expand the system out. Each one of those can be a chairman or a delegate station based on the button that you choose to put into that base station. The unit can also record. So there's 9 hours of recording built into the internal unit, and then you can expand that based on a USB stick that you can use and download that audio into a computer for editing. It's got multiple channels of output, so perfect for court reporting applications, and can actually be integrated with our cameras as well. So we can actually tie up to 6 cameras with all of these different conferencing systems. When we step up to the Decentis wireless system, this is a product that has screens or no screens. On the screen, you can place an agenda, you can place a bitmap of company logos, a really wide variety of things you could do with that. Also, microphone options there. You've got the array microphone as well as gooseneck options that are hot swappable with all of those units. The units can be used for 2 people, so one station can actually be used for 2 people with buttons operating independently, also independent headphone outputs on the side as well. The units are connected to the WAP that's up in that upper right-hand corner, and we operate on 2.4 and 5 gigs simultaneously, so incredibly robust, very little dropout. I think it's 125 units per WAP. And then you can expand the number of WAPs that you use. Total encryption is enabled in the system as well. Plus, we have absolutely the best battery life in the industry with plus 24 hours of battery life on units with screen. So the next system is the Decentis wired system. So kind of a similar form factor that you would see with some of the discussion systems on the wireless side as well, with the added multimedia device up there in front. And that's a 7-inch touchscreen. So now with those units, we can push out multiple media. So we can do PowerPoint presentations, we can do Word docs, Excel spreadsheets, and full streaming video at 30 frames a second. So really, really elegant solution. This is a wired system that lives on a network. We're passing Dante audio, so again, Sanders platform. And we can do full redundancy as well. With these systems, you can do voting, you can do multiple language translation, lots of different options here in a really elegant form factor. We also offer the Dynacord interpreter desk, which we just came out with about a year ago. This supports up to 100 languages and is also living on an IP or Dante network. Really, really high quality audio. And we offer the Integra system, which is our infrared distribution. So that's one way, audio on an IR emitter system. Very, very robust, very high quality 16-bit audio. Multiple channels in those receivers, so they can be used for multiple language or system listening. But I've seen this work in broad daylight. So for an IR product, that is incredibly robust and really, really, really good product. So also in some of these commercial spaces, you might see a paging system put in place for either notifications or background music. So let's dig into that portfolio a little bit. So some of these products may be used in warehousing, they might be used in hospital applications, manufacturing, certainly transportation. We have a pretty full portfolio to support all of those, as well as higher ed, any multi-campus scenario that you can throw at us. We can usually handle that. So dig into some of the electronics of the paging portfolio. We'll start off with the Plena Easy. This is a kind of small 1-2 zone for maybe restaurant or bar applications, small retail spaces, that sort of thing, with mixer amplifiers, base stations, and a number of different options there. But meant as a small 1-2 zone type of system. We step up to our Plena Matrix series. This is up to an 8x8 paging system. A little bit more elegant base station and wall controls. We've got an 8-channel mixer up at top with built-in DSP. The amplifiers down below, the 2 amps on the middle and the bottom, are 4-channel amplifiers, also with DSP. And if you only need up to a 4-channel system, then you can use those amplifiers actually independently, which is really nice. We do have wireless control options for multiple zones. So you've got an app, like an iPhone app or iPad app that you can use to control it. We can actually tie a motion sensor to these as well. So the system can be very green and power itself on and power itself down at the end of the night, which is really nice. We step up to Prevero. Now we're getting into a system that now lives inherently, can be IP networkable, and we can max out a number of zones at 984. So with full IP networking, we can get almost 1,000 zones together. Now this is it's an unusual way to do distributed audio, but this is a 70-volt system only. And we're actually using just a few number of amplifiers to do this. So we're actually going post-amplifier switching. So the amplifier is actually going into a controller at that point. So we can do literally up to 984 zones with just a couple of amplifiers, because the priorities are handled by the controller after the amplifier. So that cuts the cost down on the system considerably. Now you only have up to about 4 different independent sources that can be played, but that may be perfectly adequate for the project. Then we step up to Presidio. Now, Presidio is more of a traditional kind of one zone, one amp channel type of system, but with full redundancy. The Prevero and Presidio systems can be tied into other notification devices, full security, panic buttons, cameras, you name it. We can tie all of that stuff together. But Presidio is virtually unlimited redundancy and rings as far as zones go. So lots of multi-campus opportunities and applications for this product. I think we're on 85 or 90% of the cruise ships on the water because of the life safety standards that we hold here. We also do a lot of college campuses, airport transportation, and one of the largest hospital networks. All are Presidio. So now let's talk about maybe some of the commercial speaker options under the Bosch portfolio. Very wide range of products, as you see, from paging horns to column arrays, both passive and active, ceiling speaker options, pendants, yeah, just lots of different products for just about every unique application you might come across. So starting with some of the surface mount speakers, the LB2, the very directional array is a very unique product. That's an active steerable array for lots of different applications, from spoken word churches to transportation. And the LB20, which is a higher performing surface mount product. Lots of pendant options as well, LS1, and the LS1 hemi-directional array. That's a multi-cell array that is used a lot in warehouse applications where you want to cover a really wide area with just one device. So this is a real labor savings based on the amount of square footage that it can cover. Also, lots of different ceiling speakers, from very inexpensive, the 0606, all the way up to the higher performing LC2 series. And lots of paging horn options as well. So one thing you'll find with all of the Bosch commercial speakers, and again, these are meant as background music as well as some speech reinforcement, all of these are perfectly adequate for speech. We have several of them with industrial certifications and perfect for industrial applications as well. And then quite a few of them are suitable for background music as well. So all of these have UL 1480. Which is non-fire emergency, but we do have some products in this portfolio that are perfectly suitable for fire and fire code emergency messaging. So full range of speakers with IP certification. So depending on the application, whether it's going to be outdoors, dust environment, that sort of thing, we can give you the IP certification rating on anything in the portfolio.
All right, so now let's have some interaction. I would like to have a poll here. So this will be a question for you that we would like to interact and know a little bit better about our audience. So this is the question. So what primary vertical does your organization focus on? So sports, healthcare, government, hospitality, workshop, retail, maybe other, which is not listed here, or all of the above. So please use the chat right now and just write down the letters for your answer. If you have just one of these verticals, just answer with this letter. If you have more, just type the letters for your answers. I will give you some seconds to do it, so please go to your chat now and answer the question, please. Okay, very good. Thank you for your participation. You still can make your write down your answer there. It's really important. Please also use the chat to do your questions. Okay, write down your questions there at the end of our presentation. I'm just selecting and separating the questions here, and then we will answer them. Okay, please use your chat for that. Thank you so much. So please, Rod, you can continue.
Thanks, Amari, and thanks, Sean, for that great overview of the Bosch portfolio here. I'm going to kind of dive more into some of the other brands that are available here within the Bosch Communications portfolio. So we already kind of talked about Bosch Public Address, as well as conferencing, and of course some of the commercial loudspeakers that you can use in tandem with the public address systems available at Bosch. But also you may find yourself in a commercial application where I might want to drive a larger loudspeaker or a long line or distance of 70-volt loudspeakers, and maybe even a line array. So if you're looking at more of an education example, this could be the auditorium, this could be the sports field outside, it could be the gymnasium, or I mean, maybe it could even be a stadium application where you need something that's a lot more high SPL than just a basic commercial loudspeaker. So to drive those, you're going to need a significant amplifier for that, or something that has a little more juice than just what's available in the public address line. So that's kind of where the Dynacord brand sits in with our portfolio. That's our premium pro audio electronics brand. And I'll kind of dive into the portfolio here a little bit. So at the baseline here, we just have our basic 2-channel amps they're called the C series and the L series amplifiers. Under the hood, they're both the same amplifier. C series is more targeted for our install or integrator business. L is more for the mobile live sound guy. But again, under the hood, they are kind of the same beast. However, all of these amplifiers do have professional DSP preloaded in them. So there's DSP right inside the amplifier, so no need for an external unit if it's not required. And of course, this does include FIR drive, and there is a very intuitive software called SonicQ, which I'll touch on later, which we can actually use all of these amplifiers in. Now they come in 2x650 all the way up to 2x1800. That's ratings at 4 ohm. However, these amplifiers also can run direct drive, so we can do 70 or 100 volt lines actually on these amplifiers as well, so there's no dedicated 70 volt amplifier in the series. So stepping up to our multi-channel amplifiers, that series here is going to be IPX, and this is going to be our Dante networked option, and I'll dive a little bit more into this, but they do come in 4 and 8 channel options, and they do offer superior audio quality as well. And similar to the C and L series, we do have a dedicated live series called TGX. So IPX and TGX, under the hood, pretty similar beasts, right? However, for the TGX, we have some 4-channel options available, including a turnkey system rack. So that's more for the mobile guy or the live sound guy, but also for applications where maybe I need to wheel a rack in here or there. Let's say it's a multi-purpose space or a ballroom of some kind. We do actually offer a turnkey system rack with power distro and switches already all pre-configured with TGX20s already installed. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we do have a very easy to use software suite called SonicQ, which I'll touch on a little bit more later. So kind of diving more into the IPX series amplifiers here, our networked amplifiers, multi-channel amplifiers. Now they come in 4 and 8 channel options, but we can get up to 20 kilowatts in just one of these amplifiers. So they pack quite a punch when we need it. And there is a lot of flexibility with them as well. So as I mentioned, they're IP networkable, so they're working on today's industry standard, Dante. And they also offer variable load drive, or what we call VLD. And that means that I can actually mix and match loads on that amplifier. Typically, you probably wouldn't want to do that with an amplifier, right? Where you really want to keep the loads relatively even, symmetrical with the amplifier. However, with IPX, you don't have to worry about that. I can actually run my main house system, right, that's low impedance off of some of the channels, and on my spare channels or some of the extra channels I might have on the amplifier, I could run a 70 or 100 volt line for maybe some commercial audio or a ballroom area or somewhere where maybe I wanted to run some 70 volt amplifiers. So no need to buy that additional amplifier. You can actually just use the spare channels that you have available on IPX. And then, of course, there's some flexibility in what you can do with the amplifier. There's bridge and parallel bridge modes available for each of the amplifiers. And then one specific technology, patented technology that we have with IPX is called EcoRail. And it really is a power efficient technology that is built into the amplifier. everybody wants to be green nowadays. All of your end customers, including us, we care about our power consumption and our carbon footprint here. So IPX does offer what's called EcoRail. And to give you kind of a visual interpretation, inside the amplifier, the DSP actually will look ahead depending on what the application is. So let's say it's a light duty application, maybe it's just background music or the amplifier is in idle. The DSP recognizes that ahead of time and will actually operate on a lower voltage rail, significantly consuming less power. Now on average it's over 50%. In some applications we found it's even greater than that. However, let's say it's an application where I'm going to use it light duty sometimes, and other times I'm really going to push the system. So let's say it's a ballroom or some application where we're just playing some light background music. Maybe the main act hasn't gotten on the stage yet. And then once we do need that full output of that amplifier, we can actually seamlessly switch without any audible switching to that higher voltage rail and achieve that full output. But at the end of the day, we're not using it on this rail like all the time, this higher voltage rail consuming a lot of power like you find most amplifiers do. So most amplifiers you find in the market at this power rating is operating on 1 voltage rail, consuming a bunch of power as long as it's on. You don't have to worry about that with IPX. So to kind of give you guys kind of an example here, so let's say we had 64 pieces of our 8-channel amp here, the IPX 10.8. And this is just an example of what the cost savings could be. So for this is for a really large application. If you're using 64 IPX 10.8s, we found that it's a significant low cost of ownership here, and in this example, almost 20, almost 10 grand per year. So it's really significant. And actually, we had a recent project. If you guys are familiar with the Berlin Olympic Stadium, we actually found that compared to the predecessor amplifiers that were in that installation, they were saving 75% on their power consumption. So it was really obviously great state-of-the-art amplifiers that they wanted to install anyways. But it did significantly save them on their power bill there, so as well as being a little green friendly there. And there's no configuration necessary for this technology. The amplifier will automatically consume less energy when it doesn't need the full output. And of course, these amplifiers are incredibly reliable. They have smart PFC and temp modeling, as you would expect with an amplifier of this class. But it also features a very unique feature called ghost power. And it actually when we take a look at amplifiers of this class that have these high-powered network DSP amplifiers, it's significant boot time if we find ourselves in a power failure where the power goes out. It takes quite a while. So for most areas of the country, and we found this especially with the NEC code nationally, and for most local jurisdictions, it has to be 10 seconds is kind of the industry standard for those amplifiers for power interruption to come back up online. And you find with most amplifiers like this, if you turn them off, we're talking sometimes minutes for the amplifiers to come back on. So for applications like stadiums, any large congregation of people, you might find yourself facing this standard, right? And we found that this ghost power feature within IPX, the amplifier and the DSP actually stays alive for 15 seconds when there's in the event of a main outage. So in that 10-second period is the standard, right? So we're past that standard, 15 seconds, sometimes longer. The network connection stays operational. The DSP and the processors remain booted. So as soon as the audio is back on, or the power's back on, the audio is almost seamlessly back online within 3 seconds. So if power failure does happen and we're switching over to generators or backup power within 10 seconds, which is the standard, or at least we found that's primarily the standard, we don't have to worry about that with IPX. It will seamlessly be back on and we don't have to worry about it. And then of course with these amplifiers, we're offering superior audio quality, full 96K FIR drive, 118 dB SNR, and of course the industry's lowest latency. So with our Dynacord amplifiers, you're probably looking for the loudspeakers to pair with them, right? And we did talk about the Bosch commercial loudspeakers a little bit here, and they're really focused on speech intelligibility, paging, mass notification, and then some light duty background music. So if you find yourself in maybe a different area where the focus is atmosphere, the focus is background music, and you really want to have a pretty robust loudspeaker for commercial audio, you're probably looking at our EVID line. And I'll touch on that a little bit, but it could be a fitness center, could be a hotel lobby, could be retail, could be a restaurant. There's several applications I haven't even listed here. In a stadium, it could be back of house, right? That's really where we're going to look at the EVID line or the Electro-Voice brand to start here. So all the EVIDs here do come in multiple form factors. They come in black and white. They're aesthetically pleasing. They'll blend right in with whatever infrastructure that or environment we're placing them in. And there's a lot of different options here. So we have surface mount options, a 2-inch traditional footprint EVID S, which I'll touch on a little bit, and then of course our famous EVID dual woofer. Some guys call it the football or the fencing mask or the kidney bean. I've heard a lot of different ones, but it's a really popular commercial loudspeaker here in the surface mount range. We offer pendants, 2-inch all the way up to a 6.5-inch. A wide range of ceiling speaker options from a 2-inch all the way up to a 12-inch, including some other low-profile models and high ceiling models when we're above 25 feet, where we want to use something that's a little more horn-loaded and make sure it's going to hit the ears down at the floor. We do offer some premium ceiling options where there's actually a separate compression driver. It's not just a coax loudspeaker anymore. And then, of course, there are a whole bunch of subwoofers that are available that we can mix and match here as well. Now, keep in mind, these are all tuned relatively similar. Doesn't really matter what my environment is. It could be open ceiling, it could be drop tile. Maybe I want, to put something outside on the patio, outdoors. You can absolutely mix and match the EVID range, and you'll know that they're tuned relatively similarly, and I don't have to worry about it sonically sounding different through each area. So feel free to mix and match these in any installation, and I'll talk about a couple of key highlights here, and I'll talk about the EVID C4.2 LP, which is our new 4-inch low-profile ceiling speaker, which we introduced relatively recently, and it does have an incredibly low mounting depth, under 4 inches, and one of the unique things that I think we've done as a manufacturer that I don't really see with a lot of other low profiles in the market is the wiring actually runs from the side, as you can see in the image here. You'll find that most low profiles in the market, we're actually still going from the very top of the can there, and that adds to your mounting depth, right? So you can truly believe that with the low profile that we're actually going to be under 4 inches when we need to be. Another unique here with our EVID ceiling speakers is these models actually share the same exact cutout and bezel. So for the 8-inch low profile, the 6.5-inch, the 4-inch low profile, they all have exactly the same cutout. So as an integrator or installer, I'm only cutting one hole and I can mix and match. Also aesthetically, they look identical. So to the end user or the average person, average Joe walking through a lobby, he's not going to know the difference that this is a 4-inch and this is a 6-inch strictly by looking up in the air. Also, if you find yourself ever in an installation where there's something unexpected in the ceiling that I didn't see on the plans, and maybe initially you were planning on putting that 8-inch ceiling speaker in, you already cut that big wide hole, and with most manufacturers, if you were to try to flop in that low profile, that wouldn't be a situation you'd want to be in, right? The hole's too big to put the loudspeaker in. For the EVID range, you don't have to worry about that. If I ran into an obstruction after I tried to put in the 8-inch, I could easily substitute it for the 6.5-inch or the 4-inch low profile, and I don't have to worry about doing anything to really fix that giant hole I just picked or just cut. I can just pop a new speaker right in there. The new 6.5-inch pendant has been in the market for a little while. We've had great success with it. It is indoor and outdoor, so there's actually a terminal cover that's available as an accessory, so we don't have to worry about it if it's out on a patio or somewhere where it might get wet or it might be raining sideways one day. It does provide excellent audio quality. I think it has great low frequency extension as well. You don't always have to pair it with a subwoofer, but obviously excellent audio quality here, and they do come in black and white. They do come with a magnetic grill for installation ease. And of course, they do all come with a transformer already pre-built on there. And of course, you can bypass it if you just want to run it at low impedance. And then for surface mount options, one of the highlights we wanted to do was EVID S. We weren't able to really show this here in the presentation today, but it does utilize a quick smart mount system. And we do have videos of this online if you guys do want to check it out. It is probably the quickest install surface mount commercial loudspeaker I have seen, and the quick smart bracket actually comes with a level bubble already built inside. I can run pre-wire ahead of time and wire them into the solid gold contacts. It comes with a paint shield, so I can slap that paint shield right onto that connection there. We can run paint and new construction, right? And then as soon as I get that call, hey, we need these loudspeakers up, it's as simple as sliding on that loudspeaker and then just simply putting in a set screw. It is the fastest install speaker I can imagine, significantly saving on labor time there as well as cost, right? So these do come in a 4-inch, 5.25-inch, and an 8-inch. They also come with a 12-inch or 10-inch subwoofer as a complement as well. Now they're all indoor and outdoor rated, of course. They come standard IP54, which is a great ingress protection rating. However, for those extreme weather applications, we do make a specific model in the 5.25-inch footprint that comes as IP65. So if you find yourself in a really harsh environment, or maybe it's a water park, could be anything, we have a solution there for you as well. Now, these do come in low impedance and 70-volt versions as well, 70 or 100-volt versions, and of course they do come in black and white, as I mentioned. So that's kind of the commercial audio of the EV side. We're also going to kind of step right into more performance audio, and we do offer a wide range of loudspeakers from point source boxes all the way up to line arrays. But today, for these foreground applications, for some of these commercial buildings, we find the most commonly used loudspeaker that we see, or loudspeaker series that we see installed, is EV Innovation. So we'll touch on this a little bit. Now, they are pretty similar to EVIDs in the sense that I can mix and match them for any given application. They're pretty aesthetically pleasing. They come in black and white as well as weatherized ratings as well. So I'll dive right in here. We'll start with EVU at the baseline here. EVU, the U standing for ultra compact, comes in a 6.5-inch all the way up to a dual 8. I kind of think of them as EVU under balcony or front fill, really used to complement the main system here. The step above that would be EVC, pretty compact, and for those of you who are familiar with the EVF line, which is the step above this, it's a smaller compact front-loaded line, and I kind of think of it as EVF Junior, right? So it does come with 2 coverage patterns for each model, and it comes with an 8-inch, a 12-inch, as well as a 15-inch. They do come in black and white and weatherized versions, and of course there is the EVC variable intensity loudspeaker available as well. It's a very unique, kind of funky looking loudspeaker. It has a very unique waveguide on it, and it's really designed to cover a large rectangular space with limited variation in dB throughout the space. So if we find yourself in a scenario where maybe it's a terminal, a rectangular area, a gymnasium, where maybe I only want one source and I really don't want to put a cluster up there, the variable intensity box is a very unique solution that you might want to look at. So that's available within the EVC line, and it is very musical, unlike its predecessor, the EVI, which was really focused on speech intelligibility. This also is great for music reproduction as well. EVF is the step up, as I had mentioned, from EVC. So if we need more than 2 coverage patterns, we're looking for a little more SPL. There are 12-inch and 15-inch models available, and of course we have our basic indoor coats all the way up to full fiberglass for these models available as well. We have EVH for more reverberant spaces, so that could be like a gymnasium or a stadium for that matter. We do have a horn-loaded option available there, and it's in many stadium installations across the country. And then, of course, we do have complementary subwoofers here that we can mix and match. And another thing to keep in mind, too, is that we do make several array kits and brackets that you can use. So they do all come with eyebolts and their eyebolt options, but we do make horizontal and vertical array kits. So I could take EVF and EVH and a subwoofer, and I can actually array them in different configurations depending on whatever the space needs. So we kind of touched a little bit on both Dynacord and EV here, and then of course between those two systems we have some software control for our Dynacord amplifiers called SonicU. And one of the nice things about SonicU is not only is it an intuitive, easy to use software for setup, control, and operation, it also has almost every single Electro-Voice loudspeaker preset available already built within the software. So we have, you know, your standard, you have everything from passive to biamp for certain loudspeakers. We have FIR presets available from EVIDs all the way up to our line array loudspeakers. So I encourage you, whether you're using a Dynacord amp or an Electro-Voice loudspeaker, to think about pairing the two sister brands together because we've already optimized the setting for it already. And then another thing I wanted to touch on here, and this is really applicable to our IPX amplifiers, which we touched on a little while ago. We do play friendly. We try to be open with a lot of our products playing friendly in the market, but we did find that there are some proprietary standards out there in the market. One of them is QSYS, and specifically with our Dynacord IPX amplifiers, we have developed a QSYS plugin to seamlessly operate within that platform as well, and we have several large installations out there in the field today that do utilize this plugin. So we do have some success. It's easy to use, and for those of you who are looking for a high quality, high power amplifier like IPX, please don't be afraid to use it within the QSYS platform. So now that we've kind of touched on all these technologies, and we weren't able to talk about every single solution that's available here with Bosch, but if you have questions or if you want help with a design, you can absolutely involve one of our experts. So we do offer a system design questionnaire, so you could work directly with our engineers and develop a solution depending on whatever your application is. You simply need to fill out the questionnaire. It just has some basic information, contact information, and what you're looking to get out of the project. And of course, we're able to assist with ease modeling and helping you create a bill of materials. And we do have the email down there at the bottom, which you can easily email to get direct access to our application engineers. And it's buv.design@us.bosch.com. So we've kind of touched on quite a few topics here in just the short amount of time we've been together. So we touched on some Bosch conferencing systems, some Bosch public address, and of course Bosch commercial loudspeakers to pair with them. And of course for more pro audio applications, or we really need some significant power or output for our system, we have our Dynacord professional audio electronics, and then of course our Electro-Voice commercial and professional loudspeakers. And with that, I'll pass it right back over to Amari.
Okay, very good. Thank you for the presentation. Really interesting topics. Well, I have some questions here that we will answer. If you still have some questions, please use the chat during this moment, okay? So the first question I have here is from Shokumar Bhaskaran. So how do you position the product Bosch/Electro-Voice for the voice evacuation or public address application? Whether they compete each other?
Yeah, it's a great question, and Rob, I'll take this because I haven't gotten to talk in a little while. So, yeah, we do actually get this question quite a bit because we obviously have a very wide range of ceiling and surface mount speakers, right? And some of them look kind of similar. So I would think about it in these terms, and the Bosch portfolio in general is designed for speech reinforcement. And then we take that up to a point of background music. Now, we do actually have some crossover product that are co-branded because some projects just want all Bosch, or they just want all one particular brand. So there are a few of the SKUs. The higher performing Bosch SKUs might be found in the Electro-Voice line under a different model. But EV is considered our premium speaker brand, and so it takes over where more foreground options are really necessary. So higher output, better quality audio for music reproduction. So that's generally how to think about it.
Okay, so thank you, Sean, for the answer. So the next question now is from Chris Wright. Is there an accessible asset library with GSA-specific marketing?
Rob, do you want this one or you want me to take it?
This one's all you.
Okay, so I think Chris is asking just really about maybe listing our products on GSA contracts. And so we don't sell direct to the government, and we usually work through our dealer networks on any kind of government contracts like this. So to list the products through GSA, either state or federal contracts, we're happy to work with the dealers directly to do that. If you are set up with us direct, you'll notice that on the price list, you'll find the country of origin information usually, and that's a big part of listing products on GSA. But if there's specific applications or specific contract that you'd like to talk to us about, please reach out to either Rob or myself, and we'll happy to discuss that with you. Hopefully that answered this question.
Yes, and of course, Chris, you can answer. You can also comment on the question in the chat if you like to. Oh, perfect.
Nailed it.
Thank you, Sean. So I have some more questions here, and this is for Rob. So about the ghost power on Dynacord amplifiers you mentioned, in which amplifiers can we find this feature?
What a great question. Actually, we can find this in the entire range of IPX amplifiers. So everything from the IPX 5.4 all the way up the IPX 24. We found that it's actually over 20 seconds that this feature is available. So it's through the entire range of IPX, so you don't have to worry about what models can achieve this or what can achieve this. I mean, we found that most municipalities or most locals, local or national codes follow this 10-second rule, right? It needs to be within 10 seconds, and we're well within that limit. So depending on what your project is, you could use any of the models available at IPX.
Okay, very good, thank you. Other questions with Presidio. Do you have speaker supervision so I can receive a message informing that fading speaker?
Yeah, it's a great question, and yes, absolutely. So we do offer some cards that can actually be put on a Bosch speaker, or actually another brand if there's already product installed that they don't necessarily want to remove. So we can have supervision cards attached to the speaker that can relay 22K tone back to our amplifiers and back to our processing within Presidio, and therefore we can monitor those the end of line, so the entire zone, if you will, or one individual piece. It's a great question.
Okay, very good. The next one on the Centis conference system. Can standard Cat6 or Cat5 cables be used in the installation?
Yeah, also another good one. So with the Census wired, that is how we would do the redundant ring networking with Dante audio. So yes, we can attach Cat5 or Cat6 to those devices. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess I'll add on to that a little bit. We can also mix and match too. So there is cabling available for the Decenta system that offers redundancy, but you can add a device that's further away with some existing infrastructure. It just needs PoE and a standard Cat5 or Cat6 cable. And we can add it right into the system.
Okay, good. So I have one more question here from Paul. The mounting brackets for the EVID-S line, are they one size fits all? Meaning that can customers upgrade, replace without having to remount?
So that's a great question too. So for both the 5-inch, 5.25-inch, and the 8-inch models, they share the exact same size bracket. The 4-inch is a little bit smaller, so it is a little bit different, but it wouldn't be too hard to actually upgrade still anyways. But for both the 5 and 8, they do share the same exact bracket. Great question.
Okay, very good. So check here, more questions. Can I integrate a Presidio system with a ProSound system in a stadium? So can I override the ProSound system with an evacuation message?
Absolutely. So we can tie like a lot of our systems together, but specifically for certain applications, specifically stadiums, sometimes there is that level of integration, whether that's an overriding message that comes through the ProSound system, or if it's just a general mute for the system. But we can absolutely integrate systems like Presidio and IPX amplifiers, which would probably be driving a stadium application. So we can mix those together. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they can be pre-recorded or live messages for emergency notification.
Okay, very good. The Centis wireless system, is the system prepared to be used in a governmental application where encryption is needed?
Yeah, another good one. Yes, absolutely. So the wireless system does have inherent encryption built in for just that application. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, this is the end of our questions. I don't have any other questions. If you still have a question, you can shoot this right now. We can just wait 1 more minute. And I would like to thank you, Sean, and thank you, Rob, for the excellent presentation. I would also like to really thank you, all the participants with the really good questions as well. And if we don't have any other, so we can move forward.
Thanks, Amari. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.
And then I would like to show you that we will have some next webinars. So the next webinar will be next week. So Bosch Conferencing Portfolio and System Application Overview. We have 2 days, so April 15 and April 16. We have also Dynacord Installed Amplification Solutions. That would be April 22 and April 23. And Introduction to SoniQ Sound System Software in April 29 and April 30. So not only in April we have the webinars, but we have also webinars in May. So if you want to check more about our webinars, you can go to www.boschsecurity.us/co-webinars. Next and final slide. Well, thank you for your participation. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being here with us. Follow us in the social media. You can see in the right-hand side of your screen our channels in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. If you need to talk with us, if you have any requests, you have any questions, you have projects, you want to talk about system designs also, please talk with us. Just write down an email to presales.support@us.bosch.com. Thank you so much for your participation again. Bye-bye.